All right. We are live, man. So did you have a pretty busy week?
Yeah, still busy. So yeah, it's still going. How about you?
Yeah, I was pretty busy. We had a big meeting on Wednesday. The whole customers C-suite and just making sure we have the right people and right agenda and, trying to prepare for the questions that you don't know how to answer and,
Yeah.
I'll keep the train on the track. So it was good, but it was a lot of work, a lot of some stress. And so glad we're past that. Lots of we were talking earlier, just prepping for reInvent, just lots of meetings, lots of briefing docs, still trying to schedule last minute. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It'll be busy in a good way, but it's gonna be crazy nonetheless.
Yeah. That are you there for the whole reInvent or just a portion of it?
I'm flying in Monday and then I fly out Friday.
Okay. Okay. So pretty much
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah. So it's 4 nights. Get back for the kids. It'll be, we'll probably do like pumpkin pies and stuff this weekend, and we'll do turkey for Thanksgiving. So there'll be some good quality time there, and then I'll be out. And then, like you said, you things just seem to die down in December because that's our big show, and so everything goes live, and so the backlog's kind of empty, and there's no OP1 or OP2 or whatever whatever it is yet. So in
Yep.
that lull, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. That'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of I see on the LinkedIn lots of the, people promoting their side events or whatever. I think, my brother and his team, they're doing a hockey suite. You want to go to a hockey game? I'll get you a ticket to a suite.
No, somebody else invited me. There's no lack of events.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so tired by 6 o'clock, which will be 8 o'clock my time. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. I'm just going to go back to my hotel and crash out because I'll have to wake up, and do it all over again. Try to get a workout in a couple days. So, yeah, no, nothing good can come from being out in Vegas at reInvent after 8 o'clock. So, I'm going
Yeah.
to avoid that.
What is the retail price for a reInvent ticket these days?
I think it's 3 grand.
Sh-
And there's
Yeah.
no expo pass only, maybe, and there's no day passes. So
Yeah.
at RSA, I think it's $100 or $150, and I can walk around and all the expo. We don't reInvent doesn't have any of that.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to pay to be here.
Yeah. Well,
So,
fast moving world. There was a really cool article by Emily Kramer. It's actually published on Lenny's newsletter. I guess this is a guest writer. I follow her other Substack. She's super good. Seems super detail oriented, super impressive. But the title is the ecosystem is the next big growth channel, which I thought, what better for us to talk about, just given our roles in business development and sales and cloud and crypto and startups. So I don't know. My take on this is let's take a step back. So ecosystem, the paraphrasing here, the way I think about this is essentially your partners. So if you're a software firm in an open source community, it could be all the community advocates around GitHub and people that are starring that. It could be your systems integrators that are implementing your software. It could also be just influencers like B2B power users that are creating content and you're amplifying that. So I kind of conflated it with channel when I think of a delivery of a product through a financial transaction. And so she's got some great kind of X and Y axes of examples, or like when there's money exchange and when there isn't. But kind of think about your whole go-to-market ecosystem, systems integrators, influencers, other products that fit really well, integrations and all that kind of stuff versus am I going through a reseller, a managed service provider, direct to consumer versus B2B? That would be more channel. And so she really talks about building out the ecosystem. So I don't know. And I think we've talked about it before. Distribution is the new moat. So it's pretty crazy just how important that's becoming. So let me read. I'm going to zoom in here and I want to get your thoughts on this. Okay, so there's no surprise that AI and the tools that are coming out, things like the script that we use as well, make it easier to produce massive amounts of content. But there's a couple. things that have come along with that. So we're just going to start at the top. There's 5 points she makes. Inbound search traffic is declining due to large language models, and social is flooded with derivative content. Two, outbound with AI SDRs or software development.
Sales development.
Sales development reps, thank you, and easier access to contact data. Everyone's inboxes are overflowing, right? Just up to spam. Product virality, we're overwhelmed, right? There's new products coming out constantly, and thanks AI. So with endless choice, virality is much harder to achieve, let alone, right, analysis paralysis. Events, while people crave authentic connection, in the AI and hybrid work era, the explosion of trade shows, microconferences, and webinars are mixed quality, and it's even led to event fatigue. I know you have strong opinions on events from last week. And then lastly, we have lifecycle emails. So you have inboxes are saturated with cold outbound, even just nurturing lifecycle emails focused on driving engagement, and retention is getting tuned out. So I think we can all relate to all these points, but anything here that really stands out to you or perspectives from your business even?
Yeah, I really like this. I think about this almost like daily, like because that's part of my job. It's just like like one, how do you grow revenue? How do you find new customers? Like name of the game of being in business at the end of the day. But then I also like you mentioned, oh, I'm strongly opinionated about events. Yes, let that be known, world. And at the same time, because it's like, okay, and I could be completely wrong because I could say, oh, you should just do digital marketing, advertising, run ads on LinkedIn or Twitter, and people be like, you're completely not like batshit crazy. That's not going to work. But something that I've been thinking a lot about just on the time and energy is like, okay, so taking companies, for example, like, yes, maybe OpenAI isn't a good example, but Ramp I see constantly. And
Hey,
like,
so for the people out there, what does Ramp do?
they are like I guess, how would you describe like Snap Concur? They're let me
Yeah.
just pull
So
up their
my
actual,
understanding, they are trying to automate all of the financial tasks of closing your books every month with like simple technology, and like take a snap a receipt and it sucks in everything and figures out auto magically how it goes. That's
yeah, exactly. So like the back office for your finance team, the corporate credit cards you have, the like write-offs you have, the bills that need to be paid to AWS, accounting and all that. Brex was a big player for a while. They were sort of like the darling unicorn.
okay.
We moved off of Brex to Ramp,
Oh, nice.
and I never heard of Ramp, but now I see Ramp everywhere.
Right? Well, they apparently they have all this really interesting data because of those snapshots, which I'm shocked because what is it Carta? Like who was the platform for selling secondary market shares or doing
Harder.
IPO valuations? And
Yeah.
they tried to monetize the data, and then all of their customers freaked out. And I'm a little surprised that Ramp, maybe because they're serving more SMB, like they're saying we can see the data and we're going to share it with the public and tell everybody the trends. And I'm just a little surprised that that doesn't ruffle any customer feathers.
Yeah, and maybe it's because, it's just like the bills and like accounts payable, accounts receivable, and you checked a box on those TOS that said your data is completely usable by us. So, but yeah, where I was going with this though is like I've never been to an event and seen Ramp, but they are doing a really good job at just like somehow attacking the market and going to market really well. And so like the case study, like somebody just needs to do a case study on what they did. And you could say like OpenAI, but OpenAI, people are like, well, they had a service or a tool that nobody has, but still like there's Gemini. But yeah, I guess, using those bulleted like points of like, you know, how did Ramp work its magic in like 6 months? Because I feel that's like where they came from. It's like
Yeah,
zero to
because
6 months and boom.
I just found out about them on a podcast, the Animal Spirits Compound and Friends podcast. They had their chief public facing economist, and he was saying he's the only person that does anything outbound. So they don't have a ton of SDRs. So they're just publishing these blogs, and he has a Substack, and I just stumbled across it. Now we're talking about it, and on this podcast, it, it's like a perfect example. It's like they went from nowhere to everywhere.
Yeah. So it's just content, like, and maybe that's the key. Like people just want to consume content, and you have, I guess the flip side analogy is like people love these influencers. Companies pay influencers because they're driving the content, and maybe in the business world we just want to consume data and content, and so you just need one staff economist to publish a bunch of blogs and you
Well,
produce
and
results
have a
for it.
treasure trove of data and shit. I think that helps too. Like, let me
Yeah.
just use all my customers' data, but it's I guess it's expenses, so it's a little, and they probably have some sort of like hashing that protects them, the certain customers. But what about this hot take? So I don't know this guy, but I do know Wiz, big partner of ours, just got acquired by Google. Director of Growth Marketing, Tom Orbach. Building an audience from scratch is stupid, Will. To best marketers I know, quote unquote, borrow audiences that already exist. Newsletter writers, podcast hosts, LinkedIn influencers, they've spent years gathering your exact customers. Why start at zero when you can start at 10,000? Kind of what we just talked about with Ramp. A little edgy, but agree, disagree. This is dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe the context of it is, you know, just what, like pay to get on Lenny's podcast. It's like, hey, Lenny, can you bring us on to talk about crypto?
So they called out, I think it's Carta,
Mhm.
or let me see. But yeah, one of the Carta or somebody else was Aviva. Anyways, they're a top three sponsor of Lenny's newsletter. To your point, yeah. So like that is a strategy that seems to be working with somebody. But let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's all worth like the experimentation, right? Like, we keep doing the same things over and over and expect different results. And, whether that's like running Twitter ads or hosting reinvents, like, you know, or you have one man, blogger at Ramp who just can generate, 100 million ARR.
Apparently, I'm sure it helps to have a nice product and something that works, and some other probably feedback loops. But yeah, so let me see. I found it. It's Vanta. Vanta is the sponsor of
Okay.
Lenny's. So,
Oh,
but
that's interesting.
yeah,
Vanta. Because aren't
yeah,
they like a sock too?
yes,
That's a
yeah.
really interesting sponsor.
Right? Yeah. So a lot of product managers, probably, yeah. So it is interesting, and I think it go. So I also it's interesting. You have so many forces at work here. So it's interesting that AI, this super enablement of all these things of content and software that allow certain aspects of business to move so quickly, are then bottlenecked by all the other aspects of the business that cannot move as quickly. And so you can build an amazing product in months, but if you don't have a good quote unquote ecosystem, channel, and distribution to differentiate and reach your customers, then does it matter? And the answer is no, right? It's harder to go viral. It's harder to get customers on the platform. So I just find the tension between this interesting, and highly encourage people to check out the article. But she's got 6 great examples. So she talks about Vercel, 11 Labs. Oop, we got Vercel, 11 Labs, Clay, Lovable, and Gamma, and then Superbase. And so each one is kind of interesting in its own right. And depending on what business you're in, it's a great way to kind of go in and see if you can kind of take away some of the aspects that are relevant if you're in a similar industry. I also think, even though these marketing teams might be leaner, as she mentioned, I don't think AI agents are going to figure this out. Like, you can't just sick an AI agent on your problem of like no revenue and then come back in 2 months and be like, it's fixed, or 30 hours later via Claude Code. So I think you're gonna have to have humans in the loop to come up with the how the frontier keeps moving, right? Someone's got to figure out what's next.
Yeah, 100%. I think we've talked about it before too. The AI agents or the AI, I think, as good as maybe a sounding board or a brainstorming partner, because you know maybe I could go into, and we could probably do it on the fly here, but like I probably couldn't go into Gemini or ChatGPT now and be like, what was Ramp's GTM? Like, how did they become so successful? Help me draft a GTM like that, because it's probably not completely like flushed out in the public domain of what they did, right?
Right.
But if we were to feed into it, like, hey, I've noticed Ramp does this, this, and this. I'm thinking of ways to go to market. Like, help me iterate on some strategic plays. Then I think AI could help you.
Totally. I totally agree. It's not a panacea that you can just outsource it, I guess is my point. But which I just take solace in, I guess maybe maybe because I'm ignorant, but the whole jobs can go away. I think they're going to change more than go away. So, but do I can't. So while we're talking about AI, was it Ishan that tweet that you sent? I thought I clicked on it. I don't know if he deleted it about basically like the AI bubble, all the capex spend, and even I listened to somebody that said like $4 trillion of future revenue is needed to make the current investments viable from a positive ROI. So,
Yeah.
but
And is that the one that did the calculations on the server write downs, like the EC2s? And
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I can't. I'm
yeah,
trying to pull it up, but I don't see it.
yeah, that was interesting. I wanted to data check that too, like, and dump some of their some of the quarterly reports in to see if they did extend, because that's something AI would help me with that I'm too lazy to do, is just be like, here's the last, like, four quarterly earnings. Did, you know, what things have changed? What anomalies do you see? And did they expend their amortization period on write downs? Like stuff like that is, AI could do fantastic job quicker than I could, but because that was something I was like, did they really change it from like, well, he was saying it was 18 months to now they blew it out to like 60 months or something.
I remember hearing about this a couple years ago. It was public information. I forget if it was an accounting change or that Amazon stated they did it after the accounting change was made legal, or and I'm pretty sure everybody in the hyperscale industry did it. But yeah, essentially they said, hey, our servers and those assets, computing assets, useful life is longer than quote unquote, we thought. And so we're going to extend out, the depreciation and amortization schedule, till whatever, 5 or 6 years. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of data to back it up. I mean, that to me, that makes sense. Like, computers work now, for years, laptops, phones, not the same applications consume more, but you can still string things together in high performance computing. The one area that is interesting that I don't have a great point of view on is the GPUs are released every 18 months, and their step function, better in performance than the previous generation, and therefore he says it just makes all the previous investments kind of like worthless, which I just feel like that's a really extreme point of view because Intel for years, right, Moore's law, like every 18 months, computing power doubles and price halves or whatever it was. So I just think like we've got servers instances I think on the public website that are 4 or 5 years old on Amazon still. So I don't know. And you can still run, batch jobs. You can spot instance it. It just seems like it's a little extreme. Not that there shouldn't be concern, but I just don't know if I buy the whole 18 months after you buy a GPU, it's worthless. Like, seems you can still
Yeah.
render a movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, no, I'm taking the opposite side of that. And you did bring up Moore's law. It's like, yeah, the, you know, improvement, chip doubles every 2 years, price reduces. So then anything you have on the books is essentially obsolete. And if you've expanded that timeline, now you're carrying something that by the time it's fully depreciated, you've already had two new life cycles and you're into your third. But I think, tying back to what we talked about last year, or not last year, last week, about like people sitting on like, Windows, 96 or whatever forever. Will people just be like, oh, I'll just run this model? Or is everybody going to always want to be at the newest model that's going to require the higher, compute?
I think we're going to have the proliferation of more models and just more compute. You have more software being built, therefore you're going to need more compute to run it. So like I don't think there's going to, and we're still under the constraints of, power. So it's hard for me to say that they would just sunset it because it's hard to imagine that you can have such a price performance improvement in a next gen where running an asset that you own is more expensive 18 months later than buying a brand new asset and running that. Like that just seems extreme. And I have customers that don't even use GPUs and their whole business is built on machine learning. They just run it on x86. So like not everything needs a fucking GPU. Like the frontier
Yeah.
models, deep learning, vision, image, I get it. You can cook a fried egg on those in 2 seconds, but there's a long tail and there's just more long tail coming from AI code assistance. So I don't know. That's my point of view.
Yeah. No, I mean it's relevant. Yeah. So then the speculation is, I mean, the Michael Burry, the famous Big Short guy, he feels that this is a bubble too. So what if this isn't a bubble? And what if like the speculation from, the tweet I sent you and, all of this is just like everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, there are some good comments on this, and I just can't do them justice, so I won't try to go that far into the finance of it all. But I think I've heard this before, and I think it's true. Two things can be true. We can be in a bubble, and there could be long-term viability around Gen AI and all the applications. I think both can be, I think the use of debt to purchase all this stuff is a little concerning. I think the applications, while hyperbolic in like ROI out there by VCs and everybody is extreme by definition. There is like meat there, and just from the ramp data, companies are spending more. The deal sizes are doubling every year for the past couple of years. And you can see the utility of it in your day job, but you can also see the limitations of it in your day job. So it's like, and these are real dollars still be flowing. So it's hard to think that the throwback to the .com stuff is just, eyeballs, web page visits, not actual dollars flowing. And here we've got dollars flowing. It just may be a little inflated. So
Yeah.
that's my take.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because I find it super useful and I'm cheerleading from the sidelines and, you know, maybe it'll take certain jobs, but yeah, and maybe the cost is a lot right now. I don't know. I think that there's long-term use for it. I don't think there's any like turning back. Like, I don't think we're just like reached that point where like, oh, we're here and this is it.
No, I think that'd be an interesting conversation. Where is the increased GDP going to come from? Right. So there's cost savings, there's, efficiency, but, you got to do more output because just like you said, it's not going away. Just like the internet, like we're not going to stop using the internet tomorrow. We're not going to stop using Gen AI tomorrow. So it's just too embedded. Like it's just kind of like it feels like it's becoming more of a tax. Like now Google just has to throw TPUs or was it the tensor processing unit, their custom silicon, against every query for AI mode. That's not cheap. But the pie for advertising isn't going down and it's not shifting away from them yet. So they've got the cash flow to do it. So, but then they're also coming out with Gemini can now do slide creations like Gamma. So it's like, and then they're going after, different segments of AI coding, video creation. So they might even just capture the media and entertainment, movie industry and a new line of business. So it just seems like it's moving so fast and they could crack into a new business unit that generates real revenue. Maybe that just takes away from existing providers like Adobe or somebody else. But yeah, I wouldn't I wouldn't short it long term.
Yeah. It is. It's an interesting space that we are in too. Cause I mean, there are certain jobs though that I can see that it is taking, but then to your point, like on the application layer side where, you know, Google can come in and build the deck generator and destroy gamma overnight. Quick example, like I've been looking, for outbound type sales tools. You got the outreach.ios of the world. There's like the clays, like but all of them now are like, we are AI companies. We are AI SDRs is like how their narratives of like, you know, so then they claim to be like, a few actually had calculators on like hiring a human SDR versus us, like buying our application. And so like, yeah, maybe there's no entry level SDR jobs in the future. But then a lot of the stuff where I'm going with this, a lot of stuff they're offering is being built into my G Suite already. So it's like, oh, we will take and read your email and give you ideal sentiment to like respond. But Gmail's already doing that. And so it's like, whereas their revenue is going to get eaten by like Google, but they were putting SDRs out of work by creating this software. So it's like this weird, trickle up economy.
Yeah, of being eaten by the 800-pound elephant or gorilla. I guess not elephant, gorilla. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's scary is there's so much cash in the big companies that they can fund adding these features to their productivity suites and then just kind of usurp, and you can build things so fast. So it goes back to distribution. Google has the distribution. Microsoft has the distribution of enterprise clients buying their stuff. And so they can just turn on a feature and destroy a lot of value in the VC community. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, how things shake out, which ones survive, because there's not enough room for everybody. And we started off the podcast with how AI has sped everything up, and then the repercussions is there's more noise, and it's harder for the signal to stand out if you're the signal. Like that's just going to get more contentious. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know. It's like the winners are going to win and the losers are going to lose more. So we're just going to
Yeah.
have like barbell spectrum. But I meant to text you this earlier today, and I realized I didn't, unless I missed something. OpenAI added a group chat to their app.
Yeah. When you were talking about the ecosystem, but I think it's only available in like the APAC region right now.
Okay.
Yes.
So I haven't used it. I've tried, and I was just like, "Fuck, that's genius!" Like, if you'd asked me, would it be helpful? I'd say no. I'd like I already have all the messaging apps. But then there's these use cases like where we're slacking, and it's like we could just be chatting about this, and then for the podcast and prep, throw this in, throw this in. And it's like, damn, that's genius. And then kind of I read one article about it, commenting on it, and they go to the WeChat, the Tencent, the everything app, right? That Elon tried to build with X, and I was like, yeah, that's what they're going towards. Open the platform and then monetize it, close it, then monetize it. Those are the steps.
Yeah. The posts that I saw on it were highlighting that like Facebook definitely missed the mark because Facebook has all these like messenger groups and then I believe they own WeChat or they bought one of them. I probably got it wrong there, but that's what Facebook should have like,
WhatsApp,
yeah, WhatsApp. Thank you. But yeah, that Facebook totally missed this opportunity because they were already like there.
yeah, it's crazy. I'm sure they're gonna. Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the screenshot, but I can't. All right, I'll just do this. Just trying to get all fancy with it and just do the image. So it's pretty crazy. So tap the people icon on a new or existing chat, and then invite people to it, and then find the group chats in the sidebar, and then begin your group chat. And it's like, yeah, it just seems genius. Like we did our Mexico City trip, and you got people throwing things in there. What about this restaurant? What about this? And then somebody goes and does all the work and comes back and shares what they found versus just like, well, let's ask ChatGPT to go do it. We can all see it real time.
Yeah. And cool, book the reservation, bunch of other stuff
Yep.
probably. Like,
Right. Yeah, that's a trip, dude. So I'm excited. I'm curious. I think it's gonna be good for us. And I don't know, man. I never really kind of thought everything has just been one to one, right? You to a one agent or you to a front end agent, and they go to multi agent. but it hasn't been many to many before, which is genius.
Yeah. It's yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah. I know I mean because you could share like you could do something in ChatGPT and then do share the chat with me and then I would see it,
But we
you know.
could never collaborate. There's
It,
always one way, right?
yeah, yeah. So like exactly. So this will be pretty I think it'll be cool. I think, just from like a work standpoint and just like you mentioned like what we do here, it's like okay, let's iterate on this and all right, now, pull these five things or yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah. I'm
I'm
curious
excited.
what Meta will do to your point, because when we look at all the investments powering Nvidia, I know we're about end of time, but so you've got Microsoft, you've got Google, you've got Amazon, all the hyperscalers, Oracle, they're all buying a ton of GPUs, but that's going into their cost of sales. They're going to amortize it like we discussed. So they're going to lease that out. So like there is a direct path to revenue. Like they need to buy it so they can rent it. But Meta is it's less clear because they're saying, oh well, we'll just repurpose it, which I get, but there's a you know outside of advertising, like what are they going to monetize with all these GPUs? And it's like, maybe they could do something here. It'd be interesting to go to a meta asset or platform that doesn't involve doom scrolling and actually adds value to my life. Because the stock's down. And the PE's like 27 right now. I think it's around 600, 610. And it's like, I wonder if they're going to actually figure out a revenue stream that doesn't involve sucking the fucking life out of humanity. Be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't been on since 2016. I'm on
Uh,
Twitter all the time and LinkedIn, but I have not logged into Facebook in almost 10 years.
yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't, but I'm on YouTube Shorts all the time, and it's just as bad. So just
Yeah. Yeah.
dopamine hits. But well, anything? I got a busy weekend. we got. I think we're gonna do pumpkin pie, but I got birthday party tomorrow. Then I think we're gonna sell some Scouts popcorn, try to free up inventory, and then let's see, Sunday got church, and then I feel like we have something Sunday afternoon. But a buddy of mine just had their first kid, so we might go see them. But otherwise, yeah, man, it's gonna be beautiful here in Texas, like highs in the like 70s. So, anything you're looking forward to this weekend?
Something I have to write a quick LinkedIn or and Twitter post about, I was thinking about when I was working out last night. AI is not replacing coaching youth basketball. I am 0 for 2 and I've never coached before, but I've been using AI as my assistant coach. But anyways, yeah, we have our third game tomorrow. But
Okay.
that's just my anecdote that AI is not going to replace youth basketball coaches.
Well,
So
that's because you're just using ChatGPT. You need an agentic app that could call other agents, and that would fix it. That would make it more better.
yes, they need to ingest the video stream in real time and
Yeah.
analyze all my players.
And compare them to the NBA, and then a dedicated, tailored exercise program for each one, and it would just automatically everybody would be better.
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know how much youth basketball coaches get paid because I'm not making any money.
Yeah, just blood, sweat, and tears, man. So,
Yes. So,
well, good luck on that, and we'll see everybody next week.
all right. Peace.